we kind of have a little bit of a mystery on our hands, I'll say.
Okay.
That we're trying to sort out. So you said you have 2 kids, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any other kids? Was anybody pregnant and then like no one ever saw the kid or anything? This is a baby, if you couldn't tell.
I'm gonna throw up. Like, that's gross. I'm sorry, I've got goosebumps.
Baby was actually set on fire.
Oh my god.
Carrie Mazuka was 52 years old when police approached her in a Dunkin' parking lot in Guilderland, New York, and told her they needed her to come with them. At first, she seemed genuinely confused, even asking whether she was just getting a ticket and if she would still make it to work on time.
We need you to come with us. We'll explain everything when we get where we have to go, okay? But I need you to help me out with this. It'll make sense in a minute, okay? Vehicle will stay right here. The troopers will make sure it gets locked up and everything, but it's imperative that you come with us now, okay? All right, so if you want to just come right this way, thank you.
Put it over here, the gray car.
That gray car right there. And I'm sorry, but it's our policy before you get in our vehicle. This way we have a female with us. We just need to make sure you don't have any weapons or anything like that on you.
Can I grab my cell phone and call work? Am I gonna be late?
I don't see it. What time do you have to be at work?
8:30.
I think you should be okay. We'll grab it for you if you'd like. Where is it?
Washington Ave Extension.
No, your phone.
Oh, and it should be right in the panel, like at the cup holder.
Cup holder?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll grab it.
All right. Hang on 1 sec.
So what happened? I didn't put my signal light on until...
Oh, you know those troopers. They're always worried about vehicle and traffic law. I think that's what I heard him saying. When you came in, you might not have.
Can I have my phone?
We have it. Yeah.
Can I have my phone?
Just 1 second, please, and we'll get you that. You wanted to call work and just let them know
I just
you're
want to text work, yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you just, do you mind giving her a phone so you should just let them know she's gonna be late?
Where are we going?
Right down to our station.
Am I getting a ticket or anything, or?
Well, I mean, you've been pretty cooperative, so I don't think you'd be getting a ticket.
This is like a first for me. I'm like shaking.
So you're okay. No, you're fine. Seriously, relax. You're not in danger or anything. You're fine.
No human trafficking here?
No, you're good. All right, Carrie.
Can't believe how nice the weather is. It's still going into September. This elevator is probably older than all of us put together.
Yeah, it's tiny. Sorry.
Feels like a closet, not an elevator.
What she did not know was that investigators were closing in on a secret that had been buried for 27 years, one tied to one of Albany's most haunting cold cases. That case began in September 1997, when city workers discovered the body of a newborn baby in Washington Park. The infant had been abandoned, wrapped in cloth, and partially burned. For decades, no one knew who he was or who had left him there, and the child became known to the public as Baby Moses, named after the nearby statue in the park. The case remained unsolved for years, lingering in the memory of investigators and the community alike. By 2022, advances in DNA testing and forensic genealogy finally gave detectives a way forward. Using genetic material from the infant, investigators traced the family line back to Carrie Mazuka. They confirmed the connection through DNA recovered during the investigation, and by September 2024, they were ready to confront her directly. When detectives first sat her down, they did not immediately accuse her. Instead, they framed it as an old mystery and asked whether anyone in her family had ever had a pregnancy or a child that had somehow gone unaccounted for. We're looking into something that happened quite a few years ago, okay? Back in 1997. So some remains were found in Washington Park, okay? And you know, it's been a long time since it happened. We've been kind of working on it here and there, and we've been deploying a new investigative technique, right? Do you watch like any of the stuff on the news, like genealogy stuff?
No.
Okay, so what we do is we kind of go to some third-party companies like Ancestry.com, stuff like that, and try and build family trees, okay? So part of that is the remains, the DNA testing on the remains that we found are connected to your family. Okay? Yeah, so it was younger, right? The remains, best we can tell. And we honestly don't know really what happened. It's just one of those things that they're trying to get us to figure out.
Wow.
And use this new, it's crazy, right? No one in the family's talked about losing someone that never got accounted for. Younger though, like young.
No, they're all accounted for that I know of.
Was anybody pregnant and then like no one ever saw the kid or anything?
No.
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
Carrie denied knowing anything about it. Then, detectives revealed the remains were those of a baby. Her reaction shifted immediately.
This is a baby, if you couldn't tell.
I'm gonna throw up. Like, that's gross.
I know.
So the remains were found where? Can you tell me that?
Yeah. So, are you familiar with this area at all?
Within Washington Park? I've seen it during Tulip Festival.
These flower beds are over here, right by this road.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the remains
Oh.
were found. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, easy
Ooh, I'm
enough.
sorry, I've got goosebumps.
Oh, it's horrible.
Ugh.
So I'm sorry I gotta show you this, but I do because it is important. Okay. The baby was actually set on fire.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not only was it abandoned, but
Oh my god.
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out, who did it. Obviously, right?
Right. No.
Because in your mind, I mean, you see that. What's that scream to you?
It's crazy.
Right.
Well,
But I mean, as I said, everything's explainable.
right.
But it's not me. I don't know. Especially when we can prove it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a spot you want to be, or someone wants to be. I should say.
Right.
Right? Like if someone is truly related, or the mother or father of this child, the best thing they could do when we talk to them, and this is just me thinking out loud, is the best thing they could do when we talk to them is be truthful, right? Because what they do is we end up, we go, we get DNA, we make comparisons, and God helps someone if they lie.
At first, she tried to distance herself completely. But once investigators made clear that DNA would prove who the child belonged to, the story began to collapse.
Because all you have is your credibility, right? Because 27 years ago, baby Moses gets found here, right? And say you are mom, right? I'm not saying you are, but say you are, right? And we bring you down here, and you say, no, I'm not the mother. I was never pregnant then. What if that's not true? Like, we could figure all that stuff out, right? And then what happens is we go, hey, guess what? We found this baby dead and burned, and the mother said she's not the mother. What's that scream to you? If you're like,
I did it. I did it.
You did it?
I did it.
She admitted the truth.
What happened?
I got pregnant. I had the baby. I gave birth in my bathtub. Baby died. Didn't know how to get rid of it.
How'd the baby die?
I think I had water in the bathtub. I think it drowned.
You drowned it?
I didn't drown it.
In that bathtub?
Yes.
Inside that apartment? Right there?
Yes.
Why'd you burn the baby?
I didn't burn the baby.
Who did?
I don't know who did.
Who'd you give the baby to?
I had the baby by myself. I went down to the park. I handed it to somebody.
Who'd you hand it to?
I don't know. Some random person.
Carrie, that doesn't.
I swear to God.
Carrie initially tries to frame what happened as little more than a panicked attempt to dispose of a body after the fact, as though the real crime began only once the baby was already dead. But that version of events does not hold for long, and before much more time passes, she makes another deeply disturbing admission that changes the case entirely.
You did not hand this baby to a random person. That didn't happen.
I didn't know what to do. I set the baby on fire.
Was it screaming?
No, it was dead. It was dead.
This baby was breathing for minutes. This baby was alive.
I had it in the... I did.
That doesn't lie. This is 27 years ago. Let's clean this up. Let's be done with this here and now. That baby died, not of natural causes.
I didn't kill the baby that I'm aware of. I had it in the bathtub.
It didn't drown. There's no water in the lungs. That didn't happen. It's not of natural causes. There's no trauma, so that leaves one thing. And you know what that one thing is?
Suffocation?
If you freaked out and did this, that's fine. We need to know. Look.
Yes.
Guess what?
I suffocated the child.
With what?
To put in the bag.
Put it in a bag?
In 1997, when she was 25 years old, she secretly gave birth alone in a bathtub in her Albany apartment. The baby was alive after the birth. She admitted that she placed her hand over his mouth and nose and intentionally smothered him. Afterward, she wrapped his body in cloth, put him in a bag, drove to Washington Park, and left him there. She also set the cloth on fire in what prosecutors said was an attempt to destroy evidence.
Did you hear the baby cry and screaming?
I did not.
You didn't hear the baby cry?
No, I swear. Not that I remember. I do not remember hearing the baby cry.
What kind of bag?
I think like a Walmart type.
Like a plastic
like
bag?
A plastic bag.
Okay. And then, how'd you get down to Washington Park?
Sure.
How do you get it from the apartment to your car?
I had the plastic bag. I like put it in the bag, in the towel, and put it in my car. Like carried it out like it was groceries.
You carried it out like it was groceries?
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like you thought, taking it out like it's trash, you know?
Yeah.
Did you have in your mind, like, I'm going to go to Washington Park, or were you just...
I think I was just driving. I was just driving. I didn't know what I was doing.
And where was the bag of groceries that you brought out at that time?
In the back seat.
Well, now we got to talk about the part where the baby stops breathing. And we got to do an honest account of that with each other. Not I think, because this is something you don't forget. You probably haven't thought about it in a long time, but it's definitely something you don't forget.
I put my hands over its mouth and nose.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
And then you press down?
Yeah. I think.
No, not I think. It's either did or didn't. And I'm not pressuring you to say something, but I need a definitive answer here.
Yes.
Yes, what?
I pressed down.
Did the baby stop crying when you did that?
Again, I don't remember the baby crying, but it must have. I don't remember the baby crying.
I want you to think back to 1997 when you had your hand over your mouth and nose. Did you feel those little breaths hitting your hand?
Yes.
How long until it stopped?
Minutes? I don't know.
You held your hand on the baby for 10 minutes?
I don't. Timing, I don't know. I started to walk away, and then I was afraid that there might be evidence on the towel. So it wasn't the baby, it was...
You were trying to get rid of the towel.
The towel. I was afraid my fingerprints or whatever would be on the towel. So I wasn't setting the baby on fire, I was setting the towel on fire, not at that time thinking that
Why not just take the towel off and set it on fire? Or take it with you?
That.
Yeah.
Not.
Because those match
not in the right headset, not in the right frame of mind, not.
What made the interrogation especially chilling was how gradually the full truth came out. At first, Carrie tried to claim the baby had died accidentally in the bathtub. Then she admitted how she had suffocated him. She described carrying the body out of her apartment as if it were groceries. She also admitted that no one in her family knew she had been pregnant, and that she had kept the entire event hidden for nearly 3 decades. Detectives pressed her on why she had done it, and her explanation was that she was young, scared, and in shock, though prosecutors later argued that fear did not explain the deliberate choices that followed.
Why?
Why did I do it?
Yeah.
I think I just had no clue what I think I was just in shock.
You're in shock. Had you met Jason yet at that point?
We were working together.
Did you like him at that point?
No, he was engaged. He was, we were just co-workers.
So this is something you were young and you were scared?
Yeah, he doesn't even know about this.
What's it feel like to kill someone?
Terrible. Terrible.
Like, walk me through your emotions. I always ask everyone that's killed someone, and you're not the first person.
Shame, embarrassment, hatred of myself.
When did that kick in?
Immediately.
After you did it?
Mm-hmm.
Even after that confession, she was not arrested immediately. Investigators let her leave, then continued building the case.
What's happening?
You're going home.
Am I being charged,
No.
arrested, anything?
No.
Okay. So it's not going to be on the news like tomorrow, so I have to warn my parents?
No, it's not going to be on the news, right? Now, moving forward, is it possible that you could be arrested at some point? Maybe. Yeah.
I'm worried about my career and everything too,
Yeah, rightfully so.
Now, hindsight, like I worry about my kids and my relationship with my kids. And,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they don't speak with their father at all they have, and this could.
I mean, here's the thing. Everyone's got skeletons in their closet, just of different degrees, right?
Yeah, but this is killing somebody. You know what I mean? Like, this is actual murder.
A week later, Carrie Mazuka was arrested and charged. In February 2025, she pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter and tampering with physical evidence. In April 2025, she was sentenced to 25 years in prison with an additional concurrent sentence on the evidence tampering charge. During sentencing, the court heard that the baby had been born alive and healthy, weighing 9 pounds, 3 ounces, and that the people who found and named him had shown him more dignity in death than he had been given in life. What makes this case so difficult to forget is not only the cruelty of the crime, but the length of the silence that followed it. For 27 years, baby Moses remained a name without an identity, a child remembered only through a cold case file and a headstone. Then DNA changed everything. And in the end, the truth was not uncovered because someone came forward out of guilt, but because modern forensic science finally reached a woman who had spent nearly 3 decades believing she had gotten away with it. And now, from a crime hidden for decades, to something that might not be human at all. Quick interruption. If you're enjoying this video, why not hit that subscribe button? We're on a mission to hit 500,000 subscribers, and when we do, 3 lucky fans will win a limited edition CreepyVids hoodie or shirt. Right now, 61.4% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. It's completely free, and your support helps us make even more awesome videos. So, don't miss out. Subscribe now, and let's get back to the video. A security guard working the night shift at a mausoleum in the UK experienced something that, according to him, completely changed the way he viewed that job forever. It started as a quiet, routine night, the kind he had worked through many times before, with nothing but the usual stillness you would expect from a place like that after dark. But at some point during his shift, that silence was suddenly broken. He heard loud, forceful banging coming from one of the doors.
Hello?
At first, he assumed it might be someone inside, maybe a person who had somehow gotten locked in or someone trespassing on the property. Trying to stay calm, he approached the mausoleum and eventually made the decision to go inside and check. As he entered, he called out, asking who was there, expecting some kind of response that would make sense of the situation. But what he heard back didn't. Instead of a normal reply, what came from deeper inside the building were strange, unsettling sounds that didn't resemble a person speaking at all. The noises were distorted, almost unnatural, and echoed through the space in a way that made it impossible to tell exactly where they were coming from. That was the moment he said things started to feel seriously wrong. Still trying to rationalize it, he continued searching the area, moving through the building and checking each section carefully. But he couldn't find anyone. No sign of a person, no explanation for the banging, and no clear source for the sounds he had just heard. Eventually, he made his way toward the nearby church area, hoping to clear the rest of the property. But instead of things settling down, the situation only became more disturbing. The lights inside the building began flickering, switching on and off in a way that didn't seem like a normal electrical issue. And then, without warning, he heard it again. This time it wasn't just a strange noise. It was a loud, terrifying screech. Something that sounded almost like a voice, but completely distorted and unnatural.
Nope.
At that point, whatever composure he had left was gone. He didn't continue searching. He didn't try to investigate further. He simply turned and left the building as quickly as he could. According to him, there was no logical explanation for what he had just experienced, and staying any longer didn't feel like an option. He didn't return until daylight. But what makes the story even more unsettling is what happened next. When he came back during the day to check the property again, the same strange occurrences reportedly repeated themselves, despite the change in time and conditions.
This is why my security officer quit. Just so y'all can be witness here, I'm checking all this. I'm getting the hell out of here. This is my day off.
That was enough for him. Not long after, he made the decision to quit his job entirely, saying he couldn't put himself through that experience again. And to this day, there's still no clear explanation for what exactly was happening inside that mausoleum. But according to those who have worked there, past and present, many of them are convinced of one thing: whatever is inside that place isn't supposed to be there. And while that case leaves questions, this next one finally brought answers after decades.
Hi, good morning. I'm so sorry. I'm super embarrassed.
Yeah.
Hi, puppy.
John Arthur Getreu was 74 years old when deputies showed up at his home in Hayward, California, using a simple ruse to get him outside.
I was turning around in your driveway and I accidentally hit your car.
Which one?
The one parked in the driveway. Do you want to maybe take a look to see if we should exchange insurance information?
Take a peek.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. So embarrassing.
Sheriff's office. Yeah. Go ahead. Hands behind your back. Face the car. Go ahead and face the car.
All right, what's this?
We'll talk to you in a minute. Anybody else in the house?
No, my wife's at work.
An undercover officer told him she had accidentally hit his car while turning around in his driveway, and for a moment, it seemed like nothing more than an awkward insurance conversation. Then, without warning, deputies moved in, put him in handcuffs, and led him to a patrol vehicle.
You can see it.
You want to rest on that seat?
You're gonna close the door, make sure the dogs.
Yes.
We'll take care of your dog.
Okay. Good line for coming out of the house. Get that guy out of the house.
At this moment, he still did not know that investigators had spent months building a case against him for a murder that had remained unsolved for nearly 45 years. The case they had reopened centered on Leslie Perloff, a 21-year-old Stanford graduate and law librarian whose body was found in February 1973 in the Stanford foothills after she had been strangled. For decades, her killer had never been identified. But advances in forensic genealogy eventually allowed investigators to compare crime scene DNA to public genealogy databases, trace a family line, and zero in on John Getreu as their prime suspect. By the time he sat down in the interview room, detectives were no longer trying to figure out who had done it. What they wanted to know was why.
So I'm Sergeant Cortez, okay? I'll let you know what's going on and why you're here today.
Yeah,
okay?
I'd like to know.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Before I let you know what's going on, I just want to get your personal information. Just confirm your name. Your full name is John Arthur
Getreu.
Getreu?
Getreu.
Okay. Were you ever in the military?
No.
No. Have you ever been arrested in the past?
At first, Getreu tried to present himself as an ordinary elderly man caught up in something he did not understand. But as detectives began asking about his past, the conversation took a darker turn almost immediately. He admitted that, as a teenager in West Germany in 1963, he had once been arrested for murder. That case involved 15-year-old Margaret Williams, who had been sexually assaulted and strangled after leaving a dance at an American youth club.
You didn't even know her? Why did they arrest you? I mean, if...
Probably the next day.
Okay.
After they found the body, I guess.
Okay. How did they tie you to this body? How did they connect you to this body?
Somebody had seen me, walk that direction or walk towards the school, or
Okay.
it was an elementary school.
Okay. Did you... I mean, I don't know the details of what happened.
I don't know the details either, so...
Okay. Did you actually meet this young lady?
That's what they say.
Getreu claimed he barely knew anything about it, but the truth was that he had been convicted and sent to a German juvenile prison before eventually being released and returning to the United States. And that was not the only violent allegation in his past. Detectives also confronted him about a later case in Palo Alto involving the sexual assault and strangulation of a teenage girl. He again tried to minimize it, describing it as something minor that went nowhere, even though records showed he had in fact been convicted and served part of a sentence.
This allegation that this young girl made against you, that you sexually assaulted her, did that actually happen?
No, not that not that I know of. And if I was arrested for specifically that and then not even tried, and then nothing's happened. Like I told him, nothing happened.
Yeah.
I never saw her again.
Did you end up serving time for that? Do you remember?
No, I didn't. I didn't serve any time that I know of.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
It was so piddly that.
It didn't. You weren't. Didn't go to trial or anything like that. Okay.
Piece by piece, the interrogation was establishing a pattern that made Leslie Perloff's murder look less like an isolated accusation and more like part of a much longer history. When investigators finally focused on Leslie, Getreu denied knowing her and denied ever being in the area where her body was found. But the detectives kept pressing, especially once he began making small mistakes.
You ever see this young lady? You know her?
No, who's that?
It's a young lady that an investigation I'm doing, and she was murdered. Do you ever see her at all?
No.
She look familiar? Do you remember ever stopping by the side of the road and looking into this vehicle?
No.
It's an orange Chevy Nova.
No.
No?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you know the name Leslie Perloff? Leslie Perloff?
No.
No? Okay. She wasn't a girlfriend of yours?
Oh, no.
Okay. I had to ask.
She's cute anyway.
Yeah, very.
That would
very
be
cute.
about. She'd be about 18 years old, I guess.
Okay.
At Stanford. Yeah, Stanford graduate. Yeah. But that's it. I don't even recognize her.
Why do you say she's a Stanford graduate?
Well, just by the way she dresses and all in this area,
Sure.
But, I didn't say graduate either. I said, she's a college kid.
Oh, okay.
He somehow inferred details they had not told him, including talking as if there were two victims in the same general area. That slip mattered because there actually had been another young woman, 21-year-old Janet Taylor, whose body had been found in 1974 in the same Stanford Dish area after she too had been sexually assaulted and strangled. Detectives had not laid all of that out for him yet, but Getreu's own words suggested he knew far more than an innocent man should have known.
How do you think your DNA would be on a person?
Don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Especially this person or these two persons.
What two persons?
Well, that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The two young women.
Okay. I showed you a picture of that one young lady.
Yeah. No.
Okay. What's the second young lady?
The one up on the one up on the hill.
Okay.
Yeah. There's two different places you're talking about.
Okay. One of them's up on the hill?
Yeah.
Okay. And then up on what hill? Well, you mentioned the hill.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
I mentioned the hills.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the other one? Because I don't remember another one.
Well, there's the two girls. There's not both the same place.
Even then, he would not confess outright. He kept circling back to denials, insisting he was not guilty, even as investigators told him plainly that his DNA had put him there.
I think I'm at a point in my investigation that, you know...
I'm guilty and that's it.
Well, I'm trying, you know... well, there's a couple things, John. Your DNA's on her.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not trying to find out who did it. What I'm trying to find out is why you did it. And I think you know more than you're telling me.
No, I wish I knew.
It's not an accident that your DNA got there. Your DNA and the type of DNA and where it is on the victim, there's no other explanation. You committed this crime. We know you committed this crime. Okay? What we don't know is why. And we're going to give you the opportunity to explain it to us.
You don't have to. I thought about it and that's all I can think of. No.
No what?
No, I'm not guilty.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you right now you are.
Okay, fine.
Okay? You had to have known this day was coming.
Yeah, I know that. But why it took so damn long?
So why her?
I don't even know who she is. If that's the first girl or the one girl that's up on the hill or whatever, you know.
What do you mean the first girl?
Well, he said there's two people. There's two girls. Unless I misunderstood him. They were killed within probably an hour of each other and 2 hours of each other, or day, or who knows.
Do you remember? How do you remember those details?
Some of the questions he's asked me.
Eventually, as the pressure mounted and the contradictions piled up, Getreu stopped trying to explain and asked for a lawyer, ending the interview. But by then, the damage was done.
Well, I'm going to put the questioning from here on, unless I'm represented by somebody in the courts.
What do you mean?
A lawyer.
You'd like a lawyer?
I like a lawyer.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.
The interrogation had made one thing painfully clear. The elderly man in that room was not just a forgotten suspect in a single cold case. He was a serial predator whose past had finally caught up with him. In September 2021, a jury found John Arthur Getreu guilty of murdering Janet Taylor. In January 2023, he pleaded guilty to the murder of Leslie Perloff and received a second life sentence. He died in prison on September 22, 2023, at the age of 79. Even after his death, investigators said his DNA would continue to be compared against evidence from other unsolved murders, because there has long been suspicion that his known victims were not the only ones. And that is what makes this case so chilling. For decades, he managed to live as a husband, a father, and a former scout leader, while the truth about what he had done remained buried in the past. Then one day, 45 years later, that past finally knocked on his front door. The case was hidden in plain sight, and this next one might be too. This security guard was working a late shift when something unusual was captured on camera, not by him, but by a colleague monitoring the feeds nearby. At first, nothing seemed out of place. He was simply doing his rounds, walking through the property like he had done countless times before. But when the footage was reviewed more closely, something else could be seen in the background. Something that didn't belong there. Just a few steps behind him, barely visible at first, was a dark, humanoid figure. It didn't move like a person, and it didn't behave like a shadow cast by light. Instead, it seemed to follow him with intent, keeping a consistent distance no matter where he went, almost as if it was deliberately staying just out of his awareness. The guard himself didn't notice it at the time, but when he was later shown the footage, the realization immediately unsettled him. What made it even more disturbing was that the figure didn't appear just once. Across multiple moments in the recording, it could be seen lingering behind him, shifting slightly, but never fully revealing itself, always present, always just out of reach. There was no clear explanation for what it could have been. No other person was reported in the area, and the shape didn't match any known object or lighting distortion. Shaken by what he had seen, the guard eventually finished his shift and returned home in the early hours of the morning, sometime around 2:30 a.m., trying to put the experience behind him. But whatever had been captured on that camera didn't seem to stay behind. Shortly after arriving home, he received a notification from his Ring doorbell system, alerting him that motion had been detected outside his house. At first, he assumed it was nothing unusual, maybe an animal or a passing car triggering the sensor. But when he opened the footage, what he saw stopped him completely. The same figure, or something that looked exactly like it, was now outside his home. Once again, it appeared as a shadowy, human-like shape moving slowly across the frame. There were no clear features, no identifiable details, just a dark presence that seemed to exist without any visible source. It didn't behave like a person approaching the house, and it didn't resemble an animal either. It simply moved, lingering in the same unsettling way it had earlier that night. For the guard, this was no longer just a strange piece of footage. It felt personal. He became convinced that whatever had been following him at work had somehow followed him home. The timing, the appearance, the identical movement, it all seemed too consistent to dismiss as coincidence. Since that night, he has held on to one belief in particular. He thinks the only reason nothing further happened is because of what he keeps inside his home. A cross, placed prominently, and the fact that his wife regularly burns sage to cleanse the space. Whether that offers real protection or simply peace of mind is unclear. But according to him, whatever that figure was, it never came inside, and after that night, it was never seen again. Seeing something like that is terrifying, but losing someone without a trace is even worse. Take a look. This footage may seem ordinary at first, but it quietly captures two details that would only become important years later. It was filmed during a Little League baseball game in Alma, Arkansas in 1995, showing families gathered in the stands as the game stretched late into the evening. Among them are Colleen Nick and her 6-year-old daughter Morgan, sitting side by side and watching the game like any other night. Nothing about the moment feels unusual, and there is no indication that within minutes, everything is about to change. If you look closely, the footage shows Morgan leaving the stands and running behind the fence to go play with other children, a small and easily overlooked moment that would later become one of the last confirmed sightings of her. In a separate recording taken earlier that same day, another detail appears in the background: a red pickup truck with a white camper, something that at the time meant nothing to anyone watching. But after Morgan disappeared, investigators would discover that the truck did not belong to anyone at the game, and witnesses would later confirm that the same vehicle had been seen in the parking lot at the exact time she vanished. Earlier that day, just a few miles away, a man had attempted to abduct another young girl outside a laundromat, an incident that was stopped only because the child's mother intervened. The man drove away, and the encounter was never reported, leaving no immediate connection between that moment and what would happen later that night. As the evening progressed, the baseball game ran longer than expected, and by around 10:30 p.m., the children in the stands had grown restless, with many of them beginning to play behind the bleachers in the dark.
Morgan sat with me. You know, she was 6 years old. She was a little bit on the shy side, a little bit quiet, and she didn't want to go play with them, and she just wanted to sit with me. And I remember she kept untying my shoes, and I had to pretend like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? And she would just laugh and laugh. You know, it's just the most hilarious thing to her.
Morgan initially stayed close to her mother, shy and hesitant to join in, but when two children returned and asked her again, this time suggesting they go catch fireflies, she finally turned to her mother and asked for permission.
I didn't think it was a good idea, that I thought it was too late and too dark.
I was thinking about the times that I have been told that I was too overprotective as a parent, that I need to find a space to let my kids have a little bit of freedom.
Colleen hesitated, feeling a quiet sense that something wasn't right, but at the same time, recalling how often she had been told she was too overprotective, that she needed to allow her children more freedom. Other parents reassured her that the area was safe and visible, and eventually she agreed.
That's when I had that feeling like something was wrong. I thought to myself, I'm being ridiculous, I'm overprotective. She really wanted to go catch those fireflies, and I think the thing I remember most is how happy she was when I told her she could go.
Morgan hugged her, kissed her on the cheek, and climbed down from the stands, running off toward the parking lot with the other children, still clearly visible from where her mother sat. For a few minutes, everything seemed fine, but when the game ended around 10:40 p.m., the two children returned from the parking lot without her. At first, there was confusion, but it quickly turned into panic as Colleen rushed to search the area, looking between cars, calling her daughter's name, and realizing almost immediately that something was seriously wrong. Police were called within minutes, and as officers began speaking with the children who had been with Morgan, a disturbing detail emerged.
And I recall one of the kids telling me, can't recall which one it was, but telling me that there's a man had come up.
A man leaning against his truck while we were playing. I mean, it was a little strange, but we were around adults all the time. Like, you're so innocent then, you don't think anything, and you're just running around laughing.
They described a man standing near a red pickup truck with a white camper, leaning against it and watching them while they played. He was described as a white male with a scruffy beard, shirtless, standing beside his vehicle with the door open. At one point, Morgan had been sitting near the back of that truck while the other two children were closer to the front. When the children decided to return to the stands, they believed she was right behind them, but she never followed, and that moment marked the last time anyone saw her.
And if I just would have stopped, or like we would have stayed together better, then it wouldn't have ever happened.
As the investigation expanded, law enforcement quickly focused on the vehicle described by witnesses, broadcasting details about the red pickup truck across the region.
We really think we've kind of narrowed it down. We think it's a good possibility it's a red truck. We still don't know make. A red pickup with a white camper, white male, dark hair, short, dark beard, and of course the last time he was seen, no shirt.
It's been almost 24 hours since Morgan disappeared from the Little League field in Alma.
Morgan was only supposed to be away from her mother Colleen for a few minutes. She said she wanted to hunt for fireflies with her friends.
We needed Colleen involved, so we convinced Colleen to be involved, basically dragging and kicking and screaming into the press room you've got to do this. She did well at it, and she got better at it, and she learned that it was a tool, and she learned how to use it.
My daughter never ran off. She's very shy, and she's very quiet. She wouldn't go off by herself in the dark. She did not run off.
Look at everybody you go by, look at every truck you see, and think that if it was your child, how much you would want him to come home. Set it on her head.
How much do you love her?
I really think that.
Tips began pouring in from across Arkansas, with people reporting similar vehicles, some even being stopped multiple times simply because their truck matched the description. Despite the attention, none of the leads produced a clear answer. Then, 2 months later, a man named Billy Jack Lynx was arrested after attempting to abduct an 11-year-old girl just 8 miles from where Morgan had disappeared, and witnesses once again described a red pickup truck with a white camper. Inside the vehicle, investigators found items including rope, duct tape, a tarp, and a machete, along with hair fibers and blood, evidence that seemed to strongly suggest involvement in something serious. However, despite the similarities, Lynx was ultimately cleared in Morgan's case, and with no definitive proof linking him to her disappearance, the investigation stalled. For years, the case remained unsolved, but Morgan's mother never stopped searching. She dedicated her life to keeping her daughter's story alive, creating a foundation focused on child safety and continuing to push for answers even as time passed. Decades later, investigators revisited the case with a fresh perspective, focusing again on the sightings of the red truck and mapping out each reported encounter. When these sightings were placed together, they formed a clear path, showing the same vehicle moving through multiple locations in the hours leading up to the abduction. Among the original witness reports were several license plate numbers that, at the time, had led nowhere. But when those same plates were run again using modern databases, they produced a match, leading investigators back to Billy Jack Links. In 2020, the truck itself was finally located after having passed through multiple owners over the years. Inside, investigators discovered a single strand of blonde hair, which was sent for testing. Initial results were inconclusive, but as DNA technology advanced, the sample was tested again using more modern methods. This time, the results indicated that the hair was genetically linked to Morgan's family, strongly suggesting that she had been inside that truck. After nearly 30 years, investigators were finally able to confirm that Billy Jack Links was responsible for her abduction, bringing a long-awaited answer to one of the central questions in the case. Even with that discovery, however, the story remains incomplete. Links died in prison years earlier, taking with him any explanation of what happened after that night, and Morgan has never been found. For her mother, the search has never truly ended, because even with the answers that have come to light, there is still one question that remains unresolved. Not who took her, but what happened to her after she disappeared, and whether there will ever be a moment when that final piece of the story is finally uncovered. That story happened out in the open, surrounded by people. This next one, however, happens in total isolation, with no one around to help. A night security guard had been staying late at a factory to complete a special task, something that required him to work alone well past normal hours. At first, it seemed like any other quiet overnight shift, the kind where nothing really happens, and the silence becomes part of the routine. But not long after that first overnight, things inside the factory started to feel different. There were small details at first, things that were easy to dismiss. Unusual sounds, movements that didn't quite make sense, and a growing feeling that he wasn't entirely alone in a place that should have been empty. The longer he stayed, the harder it became to ignore that something wasn't right. Then one night, around 1:30 in the morning, that feeling suddenly intensified. It wasn't just unease anymore. It was strong enough that he stopped what he was doing and turned on his camera, as if he felt the need to document whatever might happen next. There was no clear reason for it, just an instinct that something was about to go wrong. Not long after that, he made the decision to leave. As he was heading out, walking through the dimly lit corridors of the factory, he passed by a storage room, just another part of the building he had likely walked past many times before. But this time was different, because as he moved past it, he saw something, and for a brief moment, he came face to face with whatever was there. There was no hesitation after that. Whatever he saw was enough to send him running immediately, abandoning the area without looking back. The footage cuts off shortly after, leaving only that brief, terrifying encounter to piece together what might have happened. When the clip later circulated online, people quickly began questioning whether it was real or staged. Some pointed out how little could actually be seen, suggesting it could have been edited or misinterpreted. Others focused on his reaction, arguing that it felt too genuine to be faked. But if the footage is real, then it raises a much more unsettling possibility, because it suggests that something was inside that building with him that night, and it wasn't supposed to be there. So the question becomes simple. Would you ever agree to guard an empty building, completely alone, in the middle of the night? One thing is for sure, what that guard saw might never be explained. But this next case is something investigators were finally able to prove. For nearly half a century, the man responsible for Carla Walker's murder lived freely in Fort Worth, Texas. No arrest, no conviction, no consequences. While the years passed, her family remained trapped in the moment she disappeared. In 1974, 17-year-old Carla Walker went out on Valentine's Day with her boyfriend, Rodney McCoy.
Carla was 17 and I was 12. I looked up to Carla. I thought she was beautiful. She was a good student. She was popular. Rodney McCoy was Carla's high school sweetheart. On that night, Carla and Rodney went out on their Valentine's Day.
It was meant to be a simple night. Dinner, a school dance, and a promise ring Rodney had carefully planned to give her. She accepted it with a smile. Hours later, that night ended in violence. While the couple sat parked together, a gunman opened the car door, beat Rodney unconscious, and threatened to kill him. When the weapon jammed, Carla made a decision that saved Rodney's life. She agreed to go with the attacker if he stopped. She was never seen alive again.
And I'm, part of what happened.
Her body was found days later inside a drainage culvert on the outskirts of the city. The murder shook Fort Worth. At her funeral, more than 1,000 people gathered. But suspicion quietly settled on Rodney, and it never fully left. Carrying that weight, he eventually left town, taking the memory of that night with him. For Carla's 12-year-old brother Jim, grief hardened into something else: anger, obsession. He slept inside the culvert where her body had been found, trying to understand her final moments. He wanted justice. He wanted answers. He wanted revenge. He tried to become a police officer so he could hunt her killer himself. But a rare genetic condition slowly took his vision and ended that path before it could begin. Years turned into decades. By 2020, Jim was the last Walker still living in Fort Worth. His parents had died without seeing justice. His sister's case remained unsolved, but he never stopped calling the police department, asking one simple thing: please, look again. Eventually, someone did.
I asked her, how many cold cases do you have? And she said, we have 971 unsolved murders. I said, man, my heart bleeds for all 971 of those families. But right now, I only care about one case. I said, whoever did this is either dead, dying, we're running out of daylight. And I said to her, I want the truth.
Detective Leah Wagner reopened Carla's case and began re-examining the evidence with technology that didn't exist in the 1970s. The original investigation had preserved critical items: clothing, a magazine from the attacker's gun, and biological material so small it had once been unusable. Risky testing could destroy it completely. But there was no other choice. The gamble paid off. The DNA pointed to a name that had been hiding in plain sight since the beginning: Glenn McCurley. Back in 1974, McCurley had been questioned, polygraphed, and cleared. He owned the same type of firearm used in the abduction. Then he faded into the background for decades, until DNA brought him back into focus.
We researched where he was currently residing, and it happened to still be in Fort Worth, only a couple miles away from the bowling alley. And so what we decided to do was have an officer go out there and talk with the residents of the house.
You, Miss McCurley?
Hi.
Mr. McCurley?
He's in the back.
Detectives approached him carefully. At first, he joked, deflected, lied.
Mr. McCurley?
I ain't doing anything.
Back in 1974, there was a young lady that got kidnapped from the bowling alley. We're re-interviewing everybody that was in the case, and we had seen at one point they talked to Mr. McCurley.
I told him about the same story I told you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, you sure got the wrong fella, because I ain't never killed nobody.
In order for us to eliminate you, the quickest way to do that is to get your DNA.
Well, I think they've already gone through all that.
His wife corrected his statements without hesitation.
Yeah, I was with her part of the time.
That's not true, Glenn. No, I'd gone to Midland. My parents still lived in Midland.
Later, officers recovered a discarded straw from his trash. The DNA matched. On September 21st, 2020, Glenn McCurley was arrested.
I've never seen her, never met her, never talked to her. I wouldn't know her if she was standing beside of me.
Your DNA was on her body. It is evidence that does not lie.
What we're saying, Mr. McCurley, is that your DNA was found on Carla Walker. Okay? So there's no question about it. Can you tell us what happened?
How did you kill her?
I just choked her. You've been holding on to that for a long time.
I can remember Detective Wagner saying, "We got him." I cried, and then I called Rodney. I said, "We got him." And there was a pause, and Rodney said, "Got him?" And I said, "Yep, we got him, buddy. We know who did this to you and Carla." And Rodney started crying.
During interrogation, he slipped, giving directions to a body location that didn't match where Carla had been found. A detail only the killer would know. The mistake raised a darker question. Carla may not have been his only victim. In 2021, the trial began. Rodney returned to Fort Worth to testify, carrying 46 years of guilt and suspicion that never belonged to him. Jim sat in the courtroom, now legally blind, but fully present. He also recognized another victim sitting nearby, the killer's son, Roddy, struggling under the weight of his father's crimes. Instead of hatred, Jim chose compassion.
I know this might be hard to believe, but it's true. I feel compassion and forgiveness. I do. And by me having compassion and forgiveness in my heart, evil has no control over my spirit.
When Glenn McCurley locked eyes with his family in court, when the past and present finally collided, something broke. Before the third day of testimony could even begin, McCurley pleaded guilty. Life in prison, no parole. After 46 years, Carla Walker finally received justice. Her case went on to inspire legislation funding advanced DNA testing for cold cases, giving other families a chance to find answers that once seemed impossible. Jim never got his sister back, but he got proof she wasn't forgotten, and proof that even after decades of silence, the truth still finds a way to surface. Now that was all for today, folks. If you enjoyed these horrifying clips, click to see more on the video on screen.